Jimbo Paris, and you are listening to the Jimbo Paris Show. All right, how's it going? This is Jimbo Paris. Today we've got JD, the author. Lives in New York City, was born into foster care. He renewed himself. He wrote the bestseller book called Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder. And he has a deep drive transforming and helping people overcome obstacles. Let's see what he has to say.
How you doing?
How's it going, man?
Everything's going good. Everything's good. How about yourself?
Great, great.
Oh, and the name of the book is Post-Traumatic Streets Disorder.
Oh. Interesting. Well, I'm sorry about that. I got that name wrong. Okay. Again, just so everyone knows.
Post-Traumatic Streets Disorder, A Battle Within.
Okay. Okay. Great. And can you sort of give me a brief summary of who you are, what you're about, and what your message is?
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm JD, the author. Who I am, I'm a 29-year-old male, New York City, grew up in foster care, later transitioned my life to the streets. Right now, I'm raising 3 boys on my own. So, basically, my message is just that you can heal. That's my message, that no matter what you've been through, all the roads, all the obstacles you go through, you can heal, especially when you come from environments like I come from.
How did this start?
The book process, or which part?
Your general goals in life.
Well, my goals, well, when I was young, my kids, we was riding in the car maybe a few months ago. My son was playing football, and they asked me, Daddy, when you was our age, what you wanted to be? Because we were talking about what they want to be when they grow up. My 10 and 11-year-old, and they basically was just telling me what they wanted to be, and then they asked me, Daddy, what you want to be when you grow up? And when I told them, the honest answer was, when I was young, what I wanted to always be was a gangster. So I didn't have like a lot of goals coming up, but as I got older, I knew I wanted to accomplish something. And when I was like used to go to juvenile facility, I used to read a lot of books. So I was like, I knew my life was crazy, so I'd like my life would probably be a book. So I kind of started writing a little bit here and there. I would write. Then eventually, as time went on, like it was something I always wanted to do. And then eventually, when life really hit me, I buckled down and got it done.
And how did you do that? How did you buckle down?
By getting focused, I had to cut off a lot of my distractions. I had to channel in my pain. I had to focus on healing a lot of the things I've been through. So there was certain things in my life I've been through, like not having parents, and just certain battles I faced, being in the streets, incarceration, all those things. Seeing my friends, a lot of my close friends die or go to prison. So seeing those things, I knew I wanted to be better. I know I want to set the example. Like, I got a lot of friends that's still in jail, a lot of friends that's gone. So I really want to show another way.
And how did you meet these friends?
Most of my friends met in the neighborhoods I grew up in my community. Those are guys that usually I call my brothers. I met them in situations, whether it be in the well, I met them in the streets, or like I said, most of my friends I met in the streets, school, you know, or even being incarcerated. There's a few I got that I met while I was incarcerated. I'm still friends with now to this day.
And when you did all this, what motivated you to help people?
What motivated me to help people was the fact that I felt like it's not enough help out there now. There's not enough people trying to help. There's not enough people that really care about people that where I come from, you know. So I feel like when you really one of the people that comes from that environment, when you really come from there, you know, like it's not a lot of avenues to turn. There's not a lot of positive role models out there.
What's your definition of a positive role model?
My definition of a positive role model to me is somebody that leads by example, not just somebody that talks, not somebody that just could tell you what to do, but also could show you what to do, and they doing it in a positive way.
How do you lead by example?
How do I lead by example? By taking care of my kids, putting my kids first, handling my responsibility. That's one of the ways I do it.
What do your kids see in you?
My kids see me. That's a great question. My kids, they see in me sometimes more than I see myself. I see in myself. They see me as a superhero. They see me as like one of the greatest things that's ever created, one of the greatest humans, one of the best fathers ever. And sometimes as an adult, you feel like you fall short.
How did you overcome falling short?
Well, it's not something I fully overcame because I still have shortcomings now. So it's something that I work on. I just keep going. I don't give up. So even when I do fall short, I choose to get up and keep going.
And what motivates you to keep going?
My children, the fact that I never had before, giving them a life I never had, or giving them things I never could imagine I had, or just giving them an upbringing I never had, like stability, giving those things. That's what keeps me motivated.
Did your children motivate you to write your books?
Yeah, definitely. It was a part of the motivation. What mostly motivated me to write my book was the fact that it was how much of a healing it brought to me, and sharing my story I know can help others heal when they read my story.
Who was the first person you motivated?
Who was the first person I motivated? One of the first people I motivated, I've always been this motivational guy, even coming up. And I was in the streets always, whether even if it was sometimes it might not have been it wasn't always in a positive light, but I've always been motivation. I always was one of the guys that even when I was young, that had a house or had a car, had something going on. So it was always pushing my brothers or the ones around me to do more. I had my first child at 17. I was always taking care of my kids. So it was always, I've always been there, like the one to be like, oh, we gotta take care of our kids. We gotta do what we're supposed to do.
And one thing that definitely makes you stand out is, you're an entrepreneur, but you also had a pretty tough start. You had kids quite early. Was
Yeah.
that explain the experience?
The experience, well, for me, I always wanted kids early. That was something I always wanted because I didn't have much of a family. So I grew up in foster care. So things for me it wasn't a lot of unconditional love. It wasn't a lot of love around. So I knew like once I have kids, that'll bring my unconditional love. So I always wanted kids early. So the process was once I found out I was having kids, I knew I was gonna always be there for them. I didn't start planning to have a lot of kids as much as I got now, but it happened.
Was it a blessing in disguise?
Oh, definitely. It was definitely a blessing in disguise. Without them, who knows where I would be. I would definitely be dead or in jail without them.
And you were also an audio engineer in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to college for that. I went to college for audio engineering.
And why did you not like it anymore?
No, it's not that I didn't like it. It's just that I wasn't focused on it. My focus was still in the streets. Like and a lot of things with life was going on, so I could never fully break away from the streets, and that's why my book is also so important, because it shows you somebody who's actually battled with being in the, 1 foot in, 1 foot out all his whole life. But I was 2 feet in or 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I've always been tied to the street, so it's like you're seeing somebody actually transition fully and make his way out and find a new path.
You know, you raise a very good point, because I think a lot of people are very ignorant to this kind of divide. So how is life in the streets sort of, how is the mindset different from somebody that's grown up in a more modernized middle class environment?
The mindset is completely different from it's sheep or wolf mindset.
Mm.
You know, you're either gonna be the hunter or get hunted. So you have to make a choice early. You know, I say a line in my book that really most of people everybody that's in the streets in kindergarten, nobody ever said they wanted to be that. They never wanted to be in the streets. Nobody ever said they wanted to be a gangster, a thug, a murderer. Nobody ever wanted to be those things. We didn't want to be those things. A lot of us, we come from bad backgrounds or bad environments, and these are the things we see. These are the things that we see growing up, and it becomes us, and that's what we become. We become a product of our environment.
And nobody wants to associate with those things. And I see a lot of kids, they kind of like that lifestyle. They kind of glorify it. Rap these days sort of enjoys that lifestyle, like.
I mean, people love pain. That's I mean, it's just that's what people love things that are broken. So
Right.
that's just the main reason why I wouldn't say it's glorified. I mean, it's reality. It's a harsh reality of what's going on. Like the music is a harsh reality of our environment. So what's going on out here?
Mm. And how do you overcome that harsh reality?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Is to overcome it, it take a lot. It take a lot because everything is against you. So to overcome that, it's almost like a miracle. To be honest with you, that's why I titled the book PTSD. It's still PTSD because that's what a lot of us have. We suffer from it. So it's hard. The things you have to see, the things you encounter, the things you have to do sometimes just to survive. That's why I like to think of myself. I say I mastered the art of surviving because that's what I did.
Mm. How do you ingrain that survivor mindset in other people?
How do I ingrain it? I basically just I've always, for me personally, I've always did whatever it took. I didn't never take no as an answer. I always had to find a way to make it happen for me. So that's how I mastered it. I knew that there's always a way something can happen. Like I don't take no, like, I don't think something's impossible. I don't think anything in life is impossible. So I just go after it. If I want to do it, I just go after it. And that's how I mastered surviving, and that's how I'm still here today.
Hmm. What was the evolution like, going from, because what I'm trying to figure out is, it seems like you've sort of taken this mindset and you've applied it now to your entrepreneurship goals. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. That's what a lot of people done. You could look in the music industry, from the Jay-Z's to the 50 Cents to most artists today. They take what they learn in the streets and they apply it to their business. Because in reality, it's almost all the same. It's all, if you can. I also said in my book, if you can run a drug enterprise, you can definitely run a corporation. It's just you just doing it legally. One is illegal, one is legal.
Hmm. And that's actually a really interesting way of phrasing it. So, what types of tips does your book give to a lot of people?
You get the tips you're gonna get is how I dealt with my depression, some of my mental disorders. You're gonna get the the mindset of not giving up. You're gonna get the mindset of pushing through. That no matter you're gonna see certain obstacles where you would think that it'll be like, oh man, this man should just throw in the towel. Even times I wanted to throw in the towel, I didn't. So you're gonna get a lot of those, and you're gonna see, wow, if he could do it, I could do it.
If he could do it, I can do it. Did that transpire to your kids too?
Yeah, definitely. I would like to hope so. I would like to hope as a father, that's why I instill in them the most. That really they got even more opportunity than I did. I like to think of them as being more advanced in the stage of when I was their age. When I was there, I hit my first blunt at 9 years old. So for them, they're like so much further because they're like in school playing sports. I didn't care about none of that stuff as a kid growing up. So it's like I want them to be better than me in a sense. So I would like to think, I tell them all the time that y'all are way more blessed than I ever was.
And what was the first step to building your business?
The first step to building my business was putting a plan together. Because without a plan, you can't get nothing done. I had to have a plan. I had to have a plan, an idea of everything. And I had to actually, from there, I took my plan and then I started to research and I started to ask questions. I wasn't scared to ask questions. I wasn't afraid to research anything or like I said, do whatever it takes to get it done.
What types of questions did you ask?
Basically, I was asking questions about the process of having an LLC. I wanted to know what it took to have an LLC. I want to learn structure of business, the different structures of business. The biggest thing is where people go wrong for me. I like to look at what people did wrong more than what and I also look at what they did right, but I like to know what they did wrong so I don't face those mistakes. Or if I happen to come into those mistakes or I happen to face those mistakes, then I will know exactly what to do. I have an idea of what to do.
What types of mistakes did you make?
When it came to this business, I'm still learning. So I make tons of mistakes all the time. I make tons of them.
That's good to know. It shows, no one is free from any of this.
Oh
Mistakes
no,
are.
no, it's like a baby. I look at it like one of my kids when they first was born. They learn to start walking. When you take them first few steps, you're gonna fall. So I already knew in my mind that this is what it's like. I'm gonna fall. I'm gonna have my points I'm gonna hit the ground. Only thing I gotta do is bounce back up and keep going till I get my steps right. And eventually, before you know it, I'll be running.
But I could imagine, just making mistakes in the business world, while it's detrimental, I wouldn't say it's as brutal as something in the streets, though. So how do you? Wow. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, another thing that was fascinating is you were kind of involved in rap too. How
Yeah.
was that?
I used to do shows and I used to perform. So I like being in front of people. I like cameras on me. I love it. I love just sharing a message. I love talking about what's going on. I love talking what's real. Like that's the type of person I am.
Hmm. What type of rap were you involved in?
Well, I like to say more of real stories. I always told my story. I always was willing to talk about what's going on in my community, the things that's happening.
Hmm. Interesting, interesting. So, what types of rappers motivated you?
Jay-Z, 50 Cent, J. Cole, uh, the Little Dirks, Little Baby. So it's a couple rappers that I listen to that I really get real. DMX is a big one.
DMX. What interested you about DMX?
His pain. That I understood that as a kid. Like his pain was so pure, and he was so pure with it that I always knew I wanted to be a pure. I'm a pure person. I like to find myself as a pure person. Like every situation, I'm genuine. I'm always gonna be genuine with you. I'm always gonna give you all of me. I'm not gonna hold nothing back. I'm not gonna hold no thought back. I'm gonna tell you exactly how I feel, and I admire that most about DMX.
And do you think that philosophy that DMX had, did that help push you in a better direction?
Yeah, it did. I used to listen to his music a lot of times when I was down. I listened to it a lot. It helped me get through a lot of dark days.
Huh.
And the fact that he had his own dark days and he could still pray for people, he still was able to be that person with everything he was battling and care about people. That was big.
Really interesting, really interesting. And when it came to this, when you were rapping, how many songs did you make?
I probably got at least I had like over 100 songs, possibly. Yeah, I had a lot of music. But now, if I ever was to do something with the music, it probably would be like on exact. Like I would invest in, like my brother, he raps, so I like a lot of times I invest in him, and I do things to help. I make phone calls and try to help him with his career and everything.
Hmm. That's really cool. And do you think you would ever sort of use any of your songs as a way of helping the community?
Yeah, definitely in the poetry sense. I love poetry, so it's always gonna be a part of what I do. I love poetry.
So do you see poetry and rap as the same
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, it's very poetic. Some rappers are more poetic than others, but there's definitely poetry in it. It's the storytelling. It's art. It's all art. Like I'm a big fan of art. I love paintings. I'm a big fan of just art. Period. I love it. Just like the fact you could take nothing like from whether it's a poem, a song, or a painting, you take nothing and you turn it to something. It could be, just think about it as a painter, right? You got this blank canvas and it's just there, and only thing comes off of it is the things that's inside your mind. To me, that's just the coolest thing ever. Like even when I write, it's nothing on the page. It's nothing. It's just blank paper, and then everything that forms in my brain, the words that form in my brain, and it goes on the paper, and it's all creative. Like I said, I love art.
So you love art because it's the beauty of turning nothing into something.
Yeah, I love that. And create to be able to create. There's no limitation on where the mind can go.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Because I could see where that comes from, the love you have for your kids too, because they were sort of like art too in a sense, because you created them out of nothing into
Yeah,
something from you. So
exactly, exactly.
yeah. And you mentioned a quote, take your time, if it's right, it will flow. How did that sort of transpire in your life?
Um, for me, I used to be the person that rushed a lot of stuff. I rushed into a lot of things, a lot of relationships, so a lot of things in my life. I rushed. So coming coming through to it and everything, um, basically I had to learn to slow it down, take your time, and figure it out. Sometimes it's okay to stand still. I know a lot of people like to say 2 steps, 10 steps backward to get 5 steps. But I don't want to take no steps backwards no more. I'm tired of going backwards. So it's like I would rather just stand still, get it together, and figure out what's my best move, so I can take the best move forward.
But again, you kind of mentioned an important thing, because that takes maturity. It takes patience.
Yeah. Having a potty train a 2-year-old will give you patience. When he's 4 now, but having to learn how to potty train a 2-year-old in the middle of a pandemic by yourself with 2 other kids, it'll teach you patience.
How are you teaching your kids patience?
How am I teaching them patience? I try to explain things to them in the best way I can, and the best way I think they can understand it. And sometimes it is like talking to a wall. Talking to kids are like talking to a wall sometimes, but you just got to plant the seed and just keep watering it. That's how I look at it. You just keep watering that seed, and then one day it'll grow.
Excellent, man. One thing that's been buzzing through my mind quite frequently is, what's that image behind you?
Oh, that image is say, what you think you become, what you feel you attract, what you imagine you create. And it's just a daily reminder. I read it every morning. It's just a daily reminder. And you could do anything is possible. Anything you believe is possible if you really work at it.
Excellent. And another point is the name. So, JD the author.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you go by author because, well, this is my guess, you seem to have this love of poetry and art, and you enjoy that act of creating. Even that quote behind you, it mentions creating. That seems like your theme. You're big on creation.
Yeah. So JD the author. JD stems from, my name was changed when I got adopted. I was born David. When I got adopted, I was like 10 and a half. They changed my name to Justin, moving my first name to my middle name, JD. So that's what JD stands for. And the author is just something I'm proud of. It's just I want to boast about that, because that's something that I am. That's something I'm proud of. That's an accomplishment. Like, I haven't accomplished many things in life. I eventually got my GED, but I didn't even finish high school. So it's something that nobody can take away from me. It's something that many people set out to do and don't do it. And then they don't even do it. And then not just do it, they don't do it on the level I do it on. So I feel like it's something to boast about. Being an author is something to be proud of.
That's a really interesting take, and sort of coming from that experience of adoption, that must have been very significant. But there's also a lot of successful people that have been adopted before too. So how do you think?
It all depends on where you get adopted, how you get adopted, the situation. Mine wasn't the best. I'm not gonna say it was the worst. It wasn't the best. It just kind of was what it was. And from there, like, adoption, just, I said, it all depends. It all depends on your circumstance. Some people, they get adopted by people who really love them and really is really there for them and care for them, and then you get some people that's adopted into people who just do it for the money or just do it.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. Okay, and kind of moving forward here. When did you really start understanding your meaning in life?
I started understanding my meaning in life possibly last year, after my brother killed himself. I started understanding my meaning and my purpose, and understood that I was here for a bigger reason. Like, it was times I felt it when I was coming up. It was times I'd be like, I'm here for something. It's a reason why I'm going through these things. But when you're going through stuff, you're sleeping in the car, you're sleeping outside, or whatever. You could be in the middle of a shootout, whatever you're going through, and after it, you make it through. You might tell yourself something positive, but that's not how it really. You don't all the way feel like that. You don't always feel like I got a bigger purpose. You just and you become eventually feeling like as time go on that life, this is what life is gonna be. And a lot of people get stuck in that mentality that this all life has to offer me. They don't, I didn't want to be one of those people that was like that. So I eventually seen that, and I see what when I put my writings out, when people read my writings, how it makes them feel, and how they could get in touch and everything, how they get in touch with their self when they read it, and it touches their heart and it moves them in a way it moves people and helps people.
How did you help move people from things like depression?
How do I help move people from depression? Uh, I can't say how I can't fully say how I help people move from depression, because depression is one of them things that you could be okay one moment and you not. So like I don't know how many people could fully say they get over depression, because like I'm not fully over it, so I can't say that. I could tell you how I cope with it, but to say that I've helped people through, I can't be the one to say that. I don't know. Maybe somebody feel like that about me. I can't say that because I don't, because depression is one of them things that the sun could be shining and it feel like it's raining, and or you could just, it's just one of the things that just hit you sometimes, and it's just one of them things.
Hmm. Well, my perception is a little bit different. You seem to be a man that went into, you went through something like a hero's journey. You went through the chaos and now you've overcome it. So
Mhm.
how I see it, you do have the, sort of that credibility to help others. So how did you sort of pull yourself out of, those experiences that you've had or you've seen with your family? I'm just curious.
By not by facing my past, by accepting it, by accepting things I can't change. That was the biggest thing for me. By starting to accept my past. Like for a long time, I've battled myself, and the fact I never even seen my mother's face before. I never seen she looked. I used to really bother me, and seeing other people happy with their moms, that used to bother me. Like, why couldn't I feel that? So be accepting it and accepting, coming to acceptance with them things, and accepting that some things that something like that is out my hands, out my control, that I can't control that, and understand that my mom just had a drug problem, and there was nothing I could do, and I understand how life works now, and understanding I came to the understanding that life is hard, and people cope with life in so many different ways and aspects, and I don't know what she went through, so it wasn't. I became more like sympathetic for her situation than being angry, and that's what caused me kind of to heal and start healing, is because I started to understand and gain an understanding and accepting things I can't change.
Excellent. So, that's your main, that's what you did to overcome your obstacles. You accepted the situation, and that sort of allowed you to overcome the problem and become the man you are today.
Yeah.
Excellent. What are some of your best success stories with people you've influenced?
My best success story with people I've influenced. All right. One of the best success stories I've had. Hmm, that's a great question. I'm still working on that. I'm still working on that. That's probably a question. I got a few people that's I'm working with that wants to write a book, and so right now I'm working with them on their book. I'm helping other people. So that was the purpose of me starting my company on Visionary King Publishing, to understand that I want to is other people whose visions might not get heard through their because of their circumstance. So I want to be able to give those people a platform. So I feel like as I make other people more successful, and I get other people's story out there, then their story become my success story. So I'm still working on that.
Excellent. What's your business's mission? Sort of the statement.
Oh, my mission. Oh, as I just said, for people whose vision might get overlooked because of their circumstance. There's people who go through things. There's people who got a story to tell that may not feel like they're in position to tell it, or they may not feel like they nobody wants to hear them, or they might be even incarcerated. So my job and my company's job would be to get their story out there.
What's your definition of a story?
My definition of a story, when somebody, a situation, to me, a story would be a situation that can help change something, a situation that can help somebody. So when I say you got a story to tell, you went through. I mean, everybody goes through things. Everybody in life, we all have problems. We all have it. That's why nobody's really like too sympathetic about people. We morally care about the people that's been through something and then overcame it and became successful. To be honest, as people, we care about those who became successful off the things they've been through, and not the ones who soak into the things they've been through, right? And a lot of people try to find attention in those things, but you're never going to get attention because everybody has problems, right? So my job as being a light for people is to help people and show them, okay, look, I use my pain in this way, and this is my pain got me out in this way. So those type of stories I'm looking for, the ones that can help somebody and motivate somebody, and they're also working to be successful themselves.
That's quite interesting. So your philosophy is basically about people that have suffered, but they overcame that suffering. You're not
Yeah.
referring to people that are just suffering because, and they just
Yeah,
stay there.
just soaking. Yeah, because
Yeah.
staying there is a choice. It's all a choice. It's all a choice we have. We could choose to stay down and let life keep kicking us, or we can get up and fight back. And we could get up and do those things. We could get ourselves back in position. Yeah, things happen, and like a lot of things happen in times where we feel like we can't keep going, but in reality, life is going to keep going regardless. So you might as well keep going with it, because what are you going to do? Because life is not going to wait for none of us. One day we're going to all perish, we're going to all be gone, and then life is just going to keep passing us by. Like, think about it. I don't know if you ever been depressed and sat in the bed for days or week at a time. I have. And I know that everybody's life continue to go on. I've been incarcerated before. Everybody's life still went on. While I was in jail, everybody still had to go to work. Everybody still had to get their things done. Everybody still had their life. So I understand that life doesn't wait on nobody. So the best thing you can do is to work on your problems and work on yourself and heal.
Yeah, that's great. I get what you're saying. You're basically saying, you need to take responsibility and ownership for your own life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
That's the only way to make it through, is to take responsibility and ownership for your life. If you don't, then and you allow other people to have ownership in your life, or have ownership over your feelings and emotions and everything, then you're gonna forever be a puppet. You're gonna forever stay soaking. You're gonna forever find these problems. You're gonna keep running to the problem. A lot of people do the same thing and expect a different result, and that's never gonna get us nowhere. Eventually, you have to change something into your life. I had to realize that for myself. I had to change something to get my book done. I had to shut the world out, social media, everything out for 6 weeks. I shut everything. I created a schedule for myself where I was waking up at a certain time, and I would write for a certain amount of hours, and I was dedicated, and I was on it. And I call it my writer's camp, and it's things I've done in order to get myself to get this done.
You bring up something interesting. How do you write a book?
How do you write a book? To write a book is just to start. You start by putting your thoughts down, your ideas down, and you cultivate a lot of thoughts and you put it together. It's a process though, and it's not an easy process, because I had like 4 or 5 rewrites through my process. I don't. Some people might have more, some people might have less, and that's where your editor's sending it back. You and your editor's going back and forth. And those points, my editor was like, "Yo, bro, this is trash." I could have, no, I think I'm the best writer in the world, or either ignored him and still ready, because I was ready to. I sent him something, my first draft. I'm thinking I'm ready to put it out now. I'm the best, bro. It's all right. You got it's deep, and then I sent him something. He's like, look, change these things. So I thought I started changing things, and okay, look, I changed it. Let's get this book out. He looked at it, bro. This is trash. it hit my pride a little bit. Like, what? Like, are you crazy? Like, you know who I am? But at the end of the day, it was like the most humbling thing because it made me say, you know what? Oh, you think this trash? I could do better. So I push. I used that. I didn't take it as a negative. I didn't get down about it. I didn't get sad about it. I said, you know what? I'm gonna show you. And I use that as motivation to get it done. Okay, well, let me correct. Let me take my time now. 'Cause I was rushing through it. Let me take my time and get these things done. Let me get it done the way it needs to be done.
And when writing, what was your biggest obstacle? What were some of the mistakes you were making?
A lot of the mistakes I was making. Well, most of my mistakes from writing is beginner mistakes, like punctuation, not getting the full story out there, leaving stuff out, details and certain not putting a full thought together, and then it was kind of all over the place a little bit. It's a lot of new. I had a lot of new beginner things. I didn't have. I don't really get writer's block. I don't too much get writer's block. That's something I don't really deal with because I just whatever I write, I write. If I write a little bit that day, I accept it. I just accept those things. Like okay, every day I'm not gonna push out 2,000 to 3,000 words. Every day is not gonna be my type writing day. Every day I'm not gonna do that, you know. But if I could settle at 1,000 to 1,500, okay. I've had days where I wrote 500 words, and it was like, all right. But guess what? Those were good. Those were sometimes I'll write 500 words. That's better than 2,500 words. But in those 500 words, I use the whole 500 in 2,500 words. I'm breaking it down. I'm breaking it down. I'm going. I have to take this out, take that out, take this out. So it's like I understood to just accept those, like acceptance. Acceptance is one of my main things. Accepting.
So you basically, you focused on your strengths. You have no problem coming up with ideas, but you focus more on the editing things because that's what you
Yeah,
needed.
yeah, and understanding your weaknesses too, and not shying
Yeah.
away from your weaknesses, strengthening those. Because iron sharpens iron. So if somebody's coming to me to help me with things, I understand that iron sharpens iron, and I'm not. I'm gonna be the sharpest when somebody helps. You know, you can't sharpen a knife with just a piece of plastic. You need another knife to come through and sharpen that. So I understand that. So I understand that everything I do, I might have an idea of this, but somebody could take my idea to. So I'm gonna listen and I'm gonna take that advice and I'm gonna do everything I can to get it better.
You raised a good point. So you think that editor really kind of helped to
Oh
push
yeah,
like
shout out to Matt, man. Shout out to my boy Matt, my editor
that?
Matt. Yeah, that he's a great editor. We're gonna do a lot of work together.
So Matt. So are you self-published?
Yeah, I'm self-published through my publishing company, and the physical copies will be out at the end of the month. I did a test run with the ebook. I wanted to throw the ebook out there. I was so anxious to get it out. I didn't want to put everything out. I wanted to gradually, and I wanted it to get better. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna put this ebook out there. I wanted people. So that's when we debuted number 10, top 10 Amazon bestseller. So when I seen that, I seen the response it's gotten, and then the response it's gotten. So I was like, okay, now I gave it a little bit. I was like, okay, let me get everything right for the physical copy. I went through some things. My son ended up in the hospital, my youngest son. So a lot of more obstacles came through my way. I ended up with COVID. I was supposed to put the physical copies out in December. So I ended up getting COVID. My son ended up getting sick. So it was just a battle after battle. A lot of hills I had to climb to get to this point where the physical copy is. But it's on the way and it'll be out at the end of the month.
What about the book cover?
Oh, the book cover. Yeah, the book cover. Basically I wanted to display a book that when you look at it, it grabs you. I wanted it to grab you from first look. When you look at this, I wanted it to be intense. So I needed it to have a certain a certain type of message. I wanted the cover alone to have a certain type of message. I know. Did you see the cover? Did you get to see the cover?
No, no, that's why I'm
Oh,
asking.
okay. I'm about to pull it up right now. Give me 2 seconds. I got it right now.
Actually, here it is, right?
You got it? Okay, there we go. There we go. Yeah, that's it right there.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's it right there.
post-traumatic streets disorder. Okay, quite interesting.
So you see, like I said, I wanted it to captivate the person with the hood represents. You see, he has no face because a lot of times we don't know who we are. We get lost in who we are. We lose a sight of ourselves. So that's why he has no face, you know. And it's a crossover because I want to be this corporate guy, but I got all these demons on my back. So you see, a hood represents, you know, a lot of things when you it represents a lot of things when you try to cover up. So that's what that is. And you see basically a lot of all the things that go on in the background. So yeah,
What about the cracks?
for the stand represents broken glass.
Oh, okay. Hmm. Interesting, interesting.
Definitely, it's on Amazon right now. So if anybody want to get that, it's on Amazon.
Amazon, okay. Now, while we're already here, maybe we should take a look at your website, right?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's getting updated. I got blogs on there. You can read. It's my writings as you scroll down, and it's getting updated as we speak. I have somebody actually working on that, and I do a lot of work on it myself.
And what about one of your blog posts, Microwave Love?
Oh yeah, microwave love. I wrote that one because I feel like people fall in love too fast. So that was just my way of just saying that take your time.
Okay, okay. And let's see. What about the shop? That's where you sell your book?
You said the shop, yeah, that's where the book is going to be on sale. The pre-orders are coming out tomorrow, so you'll be able to pre-order after tomorrow. You will be able to pre-order the book straight from me, and then you'll be able to pre-order straight from me. And it's going to be in a lot of bookstores. Barnes and Nobles is picking it up. Probably Walmart. So it's gonna be in a lot of places.
It's definitely a unique name, though.
Thank you, thank you. Uh, um, we're working on something because we want professors to be able to talk about this because this is a real problem that goes on in my community.
A professor. So who do you think you want to speak to? Like a race?
Yeah, not just a race because I want people to understand the people who judge. I also want to take a lot of the judgments off to understand like that guy that's out there, he may not have a choice. Before you judge him, maybe try to give him an opportunity with a job. Try to see what we can do to fix the real problem because a lot of people that come from these environments, we didn't choose where we got to live. We didn't choose that it was our parents that lived in the hood. We grew up in these communities and we became our community. We can't help we was born in a community that didn't have a lot of resources and the resources that we had to look up to, the things we had to look up to was the guys on the corner who was making money. That was my role models coming up. My role models was the guys on the corner that was hustling. The guy that didn't take no crap from nobody. The guy that didn't mind getting into them confrontations. The guy that stood up for himself. The guy that he had a pocket full of money. He was giving it out to the kids. That's the guy. That's the guy I idolized. I didn't idolize nobody on TV.
Do you think this is the main mover?
Say that one more
Idols?
time.
I didn't
Um,
phrase that properly. So, do you think these idols are the biggest movement on a lot of young men kind of moving in a different direction?
for my generation, the guys on the corner was the biggest motivation for us. A lot of the times, those that's what we got motivated at. That's who we wanted to be like. So, and now you look at the music, a lot of those guys that those people that was coming up, they looked at those guys and they became those guys. And now, but they're talking about it through their music, the things they had to do. So the kids are hearing that and saying, "Oh, I want to do that too."
And one quick thing, if you could go back in time and tell your younger self some advice, what would you tell him?
I would tell my younger self to take advantage of full advantage of every opportunity. Don't waste none of them. Don't waste time. That's the biggest thing. Stop rushing. Stop rushing everything. Take your time. Those are the things I would tell my younger self. 'Cause I feel like I would have been so much further. I would have told my younger self, the things I thought was cool ain't cool. A lot of things I thought was cool coming up, they're really not cool. The cool thing would have been to get my education, to go maybe to get a job, or to go to college or something. That would have been the cool thing to learn more. You know, I mean, I'm glad to where I got to though, and I don't regret nothing I've been through. But those are things that I would have told myself.
And would that be the same advice you would give to your kids?
Yes, definitely. I tell them all the time, don't rush things. Stop rushing. Stop rushing. Take your time. Take full advantage of every opportunity. Whatever you do, put your all into it. I tell them that all the time. If you're not going to put your all into something, why do it? If you're going to give a half effort, why do it? Why even waste your time? You're just wasting time at that point.
You don't look like a guy that puts in half effort.
No, I have though. I can't lie and say
Hmm.
I have. Even when I was doing my music, I was putting in. There was times I would put in half effort because I was worried about other stuff like love. I was worried about relationships. I was worried about everything else but making music. So that's why that didn't really work out for me. But there's no doubt in my mind if I would have approached it with my all, that I wouldn't have made it.
But you did put in all of your effort with the book, though, and that
Oh
worked
yes,
out.
I put blood, sweat, and tears in it. I put all of me into that, and everything going forward that I do, whether it's this interview, whatever it is, my all is into it. I don't have to do nothing no more.
And a few other points, but you said you went through some sort of bullying as a child too. Like, how did that feel?
Um,
Did that kind of
Bullying
fuel the
as
furnace?
really is it's bullying in the community, and they're gonna always you're always gonna have a group of people that that's how I learned how to fight. I was a kid that took up for stuff, so bullying didn't happen a lot for me. Like somebody would maybe attempt it because I was probably a little shorter than others, but for the most part, I wasn't a scary kid. I would fight quick. I would fight so quick that eventually that I didn't have to fight. It came to the point where I didn't have to prove myself. I didn't have to fight, but and I lived in a lot of locations. I always was the new kid on the block, so I had to. There was always a point where I had to prove myself for somebody to think they could try me, and I had to prove myself.
And do you think all of this struggle, do you think this may have been, a test for you to become the person you are today?
Yeah, I think that's exactly. I think that's what it. I needed that. I think I was supposed to go through that. They say you don't go through things you're not supposed to go through. So I don't even question it no more. I just tell my truth. I just live my life now, and I just worry about the things I can control and the things I can change and things in my life. 'Cause I know I can't change nothing from my past, but everything going forward is up to me. So if I choose to let affect me and affect my future, then that's up to me. It wasn't because my mother wasn't there. I can't I can't blame what I'm going through now on my mother not being there. There's a lot of people out in life that like to blame this person and that person for things they go through, but a lot of the times we put ourselves through things.
What do you mean by I just tell my truth?
When I say I just tell my truth, basically I just tell the things I've been through. I just talk about my life and the things I've been through. That's it. That's the only thing I know is my truth. Is everybody got their own truth. Everybody got their own life they live. They own everything, their own identity, whatever they live, the life they live. We all been through our own things, our own battles, our own disorders. We all got those things. And I present to the table what I've been through. This is what I've been through. I've been my depression, my bipolar disorder, my aggression. These are the things I had to deal with. When I was suicidal, these are the things I've been through. These are my truths.
And your experience may have it may have showed other people that they weren't alone either.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I did find myself alone a lot in life coming up, but I'm thankful for everybody that's been in my corner, that has been there for me, and I appreciate every soul that the very few people that did stick by my side.
Who were some people that stayed by your side during your toughest times?
My brother, he stayed by my side. Well, all my brothers really, even though we not bonded by blood, but those are still my brothers. You got my aunt. You got even my There's a few people that stuck by my side. There's a few people. I appreciate them all. They know who they are.
And when it comes to all this, what's some advice you have to give to the audience today?
Some advice I have to give. Number one, don't give up. Don't give up no matter how tough it gets. Because the next day could be this day the sun come out for you. So just keep going. The storms only last so long. Every storm has an ending. So just keep going, and that sun's gonna shine again. And when it shines, you just appreciate it. Embrace your struggle too. Don't shy away from it. Embrace it. Embrace everything about it.
This has been a great interview. Thank you again for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And we'd also like to give a special thanks to our sponsors. The first person I'd like to thank is Allison Roberts. She's done really well for this show. Grab a copy. It's called Behind the Power. It's an excellent book, and it serves as a powerful tool to transform lives and to kind of empower yourself as a person. The next sponsor we have is LifeWork Systems. We're affiliate sponsor and collaborative partner. LifeWork System is very focused on also helping and transforming people's lives. Allison is basically the CEO of LifeWork Systems and helps build companies and creates a kind future for everyone else around the world. All right. And also support me on Patreon, and also look at us on Roku TV channel as well. All right. Thank you again, sir.
I thank you for having me. Y'all be
All right,
blessed.
I'm Jimbo Paris. This is the Jimbo Paris Show. Thank you for listening to the Jimbo Paris Show.